Okay, continuing to look at horizontal shifts. We have our basic square root function, but if we replace the x with parentheses x plus 1, we see it shifted to the left. And notice we're making these changes within our function. So it's underneath that square root sign that you replace the x with x plus 1, and then it shifts 1 unit to the left. If we had replaced the x with x minus 1, then it would shift 1 unit to the right. And again, you can see how this would make sense on the graph. The graph would have to start at 1, 0, because anything to the left of that would give you a negative under the radical, which is impossible in the real numbers. So for example, if you put in a 0 for the x here, you would have 0 minus 1, which is negative 1. You can't take the square root of negative 1 in the real number system. So that's why you see the graph starting at 1, 0, and it's shifted to the right. So that the graph matches up with the math of it all. Okay, next we will look at our basic cube root function. At this time, we'll replace the x with x minus 1. And there you see it shifted to the right. If we replace it with x plus 1, it shifts to the left. Moving on to our identity function, which is y is equal to some constant. We had y equals -4, and that is just a straight line. I'm going to put it in as -3 so you can see it on the graph a little better. Now on this one, it wouldn't make any difference if you shifted to the left or to the right because it's a horizontal line anyway. And there is no x to replace with x minus 1, x plus 1. So we still just have y equals some number for our constant function. And then finally, finishing off, here we have our identity function. Or not our identity, this is the reciprocal function, excuse me, because you have the reciprocal of x is 1 over x. So we have y equals 1 over x, but if we replace our x with an x plus 1, you see that the entire graph shifted to the left. Now you can also see why this makes sense with the mathematics in the reciprocal function, because when you have a fraction, it is impossible to divide by 0 in the real number system. And so if you look at this, if you look what x value would make you divide by 0, well, if you had a -1 there for x, -1 plus 1 is 0, so you would have division by 0, which is impossible. But that matches up with the graph right here, that where x is -1, you have an asymptote. The graph never touches anywhere where x is -1, and it's never even going to cross it when we have a vertical asymptote like this. So again, you see how the math matches up with the graph. Okay, so quickly going over the names again here. Hopefully you're memorizing these as we are going over them in the class. So we have our quadratic. And do you remember the next one? When we had just y equals x was our identity.